Hey, what's happening? My name is D, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to talk about leaving BookTube, and where I'd like to take things in 2025. So last Sunday, I put out a video talking about the allegations against YouTuber Cody Ko, and then I talked about his quote-unquote apology after 6 months of radio silence, or I guess internet silence. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can just go watch that video. And in that video, I noted that I was aware that topic was out of the norm for me because I've been a booktuber since I started my channel. And I also mentioned that I was planning on branching out a little bit and dabbling in some I guess general commentary YouTube type stuff. And since Cody Ko was one of the bigger commentary YouTubers, it just felt important to me to talk about that before I started dabbling in that content. And also I was aware that some of my day ones knew that I had been a fan of him before all that stuff had come out. And aside from some pretty not positive, but some productive comments on the subject matter of that video, I also got a lot of really nice comments talking about people liking the way I was handling that subject matter, and they were excited to watch me do some other stuff, saying that they had really enjoyed the journey with me as a booktuber, and they were excited to watch me go in this different direction. So I just want to say thank you to my day ones, my subscribers, my patrons. Your support has meant a lot to me over the last year and a half. I understand if you clicked on this video and you're like, oh, this is unnecessary and self-indulgent. Personally, I think most videos are unnecessary, and I have tried my best to keep people up to date with what's going on with me. So if I can't post because I'm sick, something's happened at work or with my family, I try to keep people up to date and let them know changes to scheduling and that kind of a thing. And I do that mostly just to hold myself accountable, because it would be very easy for me to just take 2 weeks to not post and then never post again. You know how easy it is for me to not do stuff? Watch this. See, that was pretty easy. So let's just start with leaving BookTube, which may be a little over dramatic, but also, clickbait, but also I didn't want to lie. But also, let me explain what I mean. I have never felt like I'm part of the BookTube community. Most of that's because I don't think BookTube is a community, because a community needs shared interest, which it definitely has, and agreed upon community values, which it doesn't have. Any bookish space on whatever app, whether it's Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, TikTok, if that's staying around, there's a lot of infighting and a lot of drama all the time. So if those are communities, they're kind of toxic communities. And I think what it is more than anything else is it's smaller communities within a bigger space. I've never really felt like I belong in that space. I feel like a wallflower at a party, just holding a warm ginger ale or some shit while everybody else is talking. But also there's some more practical reasons and some more personal reasons as to why I want to widen the scope of the things I talk about on this channel. I think 6 months into me making videos, I saw a bunch of videos of people announcing that they were quitting YouTube, quitting BookTube. It was a max exodus, and I was like, oh, what did I just get myself into? So my reasons here might be the same or similar, but again, I think these people mostly quit YouTube entirely, and that's not exactly what I'm doing, so might be slightly different. I don't know. Also, if you're watching this and you're thinking about starting your own BookTube channel, these might be some things to consider before you do. I don't want to say these are things I wish I knew before I started or whatever, because you can be told this stuff and still not really get how real it is until you've experienced it or until you've tried it yourself or whatever. So take it with a grain of salt. I'm not saying don't, because I don't think that's fair. I think that I've had a mostly positive experience with BookTube. There's definitely been some lows. There's definitely been some frustrating moments, and I've had some very negative interactions. That's true. I would say the experience has been mostly positive. So practical reason number one for quitting BookTube, you need to post a lot. And the word need there is doing a lot of heavy lifting. You don't actually need to do it, but anyone who wants to be a content creator, or anybody who is a content creator, regardless of whether it's bookish content or some other form of content, they know that algorithms have a fair amount to do with the success and failure of their content. And so YouTube really favors consistent posting, and I think it's recommended, or it's industry standard, that you post at least once a week in order to keep the fire going, Obviously, again, you can do what you want. Like, you don't need to post. You can post like once a month, once every 6 weeks, or once a year, I guess, or not have a schedule at all. It's just that, if you don't sort of try to appease the algorithm a little bit, the channel's not going to grow. And as selfish, immature, or vapid it may seem, I would like this channel to grow. I really like making content. Practical reason number 2, you need to read a lot. If the subject matter of your content is book reviews like mine has been, and you need to post like once a week, that's like a book a week. That's a lot of books a year, considering that the average American reads like 12. And I'm not American, but I'm pretty average. I know there's people out there that read like hundreds of books a year. I've just never been that guy. I don't really want to be that guy. Practical reason number 3, it's a lot of work. Reading a whole ass book, taking notes, turning those notes into a script, filming, editing, making a thumbnail, it's all just a lot of work. And because I'm kind of a slow reader and I'm not like the world's greatest editor or whatever, I'm putting in probably like, I don't know, 15 to 20 hours per week. And because the channel's small, I don't bring in a ton of views or whatever. The ROI is pretty low. Like, I don't make a lot at this part-time job. I don't even make minimum wage, really, if you think about it. And I'll put a lot of work into a video, especially like there's been times where I've tried to put out stuff about things that I like reading, whether that's a novel that I really enjoyed or manga or whatever. And when the ROI is like a quarter, sometimes a tenth of what it is when I do like a book talk book, it's very discouraging. And that leads me to my practical reason number 4. Making bookish content affects your relationship with reading. Because of the reasons that I listed above, like, reading really does feel like work a lot of the time. And for some other creators, BookTube is their like full-time job. And that can really change how you feel about reading. It can make it feel like a real slog. I have like a very limited amount of time I can dedicate to reading. I have my day job, I have responsibilities to my wife, to my family, to my community. So in order to try to like keep that fire going that I mentioned before, I've had to choose, or felt like I've had to choose, like books that I know will like get more attention or get more views. That's just the name of the game, but it means that I've had to like sideline books that I actually wanted to read. And I want to be able to like enjoy reading again. I want to be able to just like crack open a book and not really have to think about jokes, or even like not turn my brain off, because I could never not critically engage with media. That's like part of how I'm wired. But it's nice when you don't have to worry about relaying that critical engagement, if you know. So like I'm sure people have picked up on it by now, but sometimes I take pauses right before I say something. I'll be like, what's the right word or whatever, and part of that is it's just like I'm not the best at articulating my thoughts. Maybe that's not the right way to phrase it. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. But like, it's just nice when you take the pressure off. It's like, oh, there's no test, there's no assignment, there's no homework. I'm just doing this to do it. That's great. Because yeah, if I'm on like. Because yeah, I know that some people just find it funny that I'm like, oh, I read this thing and it's a nightmare or whatever. But I really don't enjoy reading book talk sensations. And I can read a few, but I don't want to read 52 of them. And yeah, I could say like, I don't care about ROI. I don't care about views. I don't care about none of that shit. And I'll just do a video on literally anything I read. I read a magazine, I'll tell you about it. Or I read like a novella or a poetry collection or whatever. And it's like some of these things that I'm interested in reading, interested in like learning from, or just consuming for the sake of consuming art. And maybe it'd be interesting if I talked about what I'm learning from like Stamped or Decolonizing Wellness or something like that. But I don't know if I really want to, or I'm confident in my ability to make a standalone video on those things. Maybe if it's relevant to a topic, I could recommend those or something like that, but that would be about it. And I know some people are like, don't worry about the views, don't worry about the numbers, and you're like, oh, fuck the ROI and whatever, and that's great, and I could definitely do that. But again, that's a lot of work, and I also don't really think it would be that entertaining. I don't think Stamped or Decolonizing Wellness would make good standalone videos from me, because I'm just not that kind of creator. You know what I'm saying? Like, definitely wouldn't be funny. Somebody else who's like a fucking smarty-arty could probably do it. That's just not me. Those are for like practical reasons for why I want to change things up a little bit. So I'm going to move on and get a little bit more personal now, but before I do, like, I feel really awkward. This feels like I'm being kind of vulnerable. I just want to make it really clear that I'm not really open to, nor am I looking for advice. I have a therapist and she's dope. And I say that because sometimes I'll make like little jokes about myself because I don't take myself all that seriously. And then somebody will like really want to speak against that joke, like, D, you insecure bitch, you are the best looking, smartest guy in the world. And that's just straight up not true, nor is it helpful. And the first thing I've already touched on, I just don't think that BookTube is a good fit for me, or I'm not a good fit for BookTube. I think even though some of the biggest BookTubers are all different from each other, I do think there's like a similar vibe or aesthetic. They're usually part of a demographic or a genre of person that I'm just not. I know that's part of why some of the people who like my channel, because I am a little bit different. I have a different perspective and I speak differently than a lot of these booktubers. But also it's not imposter syndrome, but there are times where I'll like be editing a video or even like filming it like I am now and just be like, what am I doing? When it comes to like a genre of anything, and I guess BookTube is a genre of YouTube video, any artist or creator needs to find a distinct voice or a distinct style within that genre. But in order to like be a part of the genre or be considered a part of the genre, there needs to be aspects of what they're creating that are consistent with that genre. Does the word genre sound weird to anybody else now? And I just feel very strongly that I'm not a good fit for the BookTube genre. I just want to address that, like, while I feel unwelcome or disenfranchised from the BookTube community, I love the community that's forming around the channel. My patrons and my regular viewers who show up for live streams and hang out and chit chat, they're all some of the sweetest people that I've ever spoken to on the internet. So please don't take this as me like taking you for granted. I think that you're all amazing, except one of you. I think as a person of color, as a black dude, this space has been really weird to navigate. I don't really want to get into all that on some woke shit. Anyways, going back to the part where I said, like, I don't feel like I'm a good fit for BookTube. I know there are some people who will disagree because they like what I do. And I'm so thankful that you like what I do, but you're also not me. And for me, it feels a lot like being a rapper in the country music scene. And I'm not Shabuzi. And sometimes me doing like literature feels really disingenuous. And a lot of bookish content has like a sincerity or a seriousness to it. And I've tried to present myself as a sincere, serious person before. Dog, you should have seen me when I was doing my whole like, oh, I'm a poet and I want to talk about mental health on TikTok shit. That was so cringe. And this might be a little too vulnerable for the internet, but like, you know, most people probably stopped watching by now. I used to hate the fact that I was funny. Like, I was really insecure about it. I was going to say growing up, but it's more like in the last 10 years or so, people have had like a really big problem with the fact that I like joke around and goof, because they're like, you're not a real person. And that's something I had to work on, you know, through therapy or whatever. But I kind of like took the feedback as like, you being funny is bad. So then I've talked about this before on the channel, but like sometimes people will put out a list. It'll be like, Black book talkers or booktubers to follow on Black History Month. By the way, don't put me on that list. But people would get to me on their list and be like, this guy's funny. And that's all they would say about me. And I was always like, well, I have more to offer than that. I wanted to be taken seriously, but if I'm real honest with myself, I'm actually just not like that serious of a guy. There's definitely a point where I was like, I don't know, 19 to 23, and I would only do bits, and it was hard to get to know me because I just wasn't opening up to people and hiding behind humor. And I'm not like that anymore, but I still am not like a super serious stoic man. That's just not me. I'm not a goatee stroker. I can't even grow facial hair. And in a lot of comments that I've gotten on the channel over the last year and a half, a lot of people do talk about how they enjoy laughing at the things that I'm saying about books that I've read. I put out a clip of me doing stand-up comedy, and it didn't get a huge amount of views, but like the response was pretty positive. And through like therapy and like self-reflection or whatever, I just want to try to embrace that side of me and explore it a little bit more. And I also want to explore being a little bit more creative with content creation. Now, this will sound pretentious, but I think that there's a big difference between art and content. And this isn't me trying to be like, yes, I'm an artist, and me talking about Love is Blind season I don't even know because I've never seen that show before as like art. I just mean I want to like experiment, try some other stuff. Making cishet man reads romantasy type videos 52 times this year would kill my enthusiasm and probably like mess with my mental health a little bit. Having said all that, I started to figure out content creation, making content when I started like kind of leaning into book talk when I was on TikTok. And the whole reason I started making YouTube videos at all was like to do BookTube, I guess. Well, I just thought I'd do it the one time, and then people were like, oh, you should do more of this, and whatever. I've told that story a million times. You don't need to hear it again. Sorry, Mo. BookTube is my roots, and even though I want to branch out a little bit, you know, spread out, grow, I'm not ripping myself out of the ground. I've always wanted to talk about more than just books. I've always wanted to talk about other types of media. And like at one point I had even like asked viewers like, hey, like I'm thinking about talking about TV shows also. What TV shows would you be interested in me reviewing or something like that? And there were comments that were like, oh, I only want you for book reviews. If you start doing TV and movies, I'll unsubscribe. I was probably just like in a bad place at the time, but I took that as like everyone feels that way. And I let that get to me, and I shouldn't have. I let insecurity and fear of letting people down, like people who like something that I do, lock me in a routine that I really started to hate and kind of resent. I've been an artist and wanted to like get into showbiz my entire life. BookTube was the first time I like made something that people genuinely enjoyed. And as embarrassing as it is to admit, I was like scared of losing that. Going anywhere, I'm just mixing things up a little bit. And honestly, if you truly felt like, oh, if you're going to do literally anything other than review Lightlark 50 times this year, I'm out, then I kind of don't want you here anyway. But yeah, books are still going to be part of the mix. I'm at the very least going to finish the series that I've started on this channel. So moving forward, I've been out of work over the holidays, which has been like incredibly stressful, but I've had some time to think and overthink. I've set some goals, I've set deadlines to reach those goals, and I'm making plans to reach those goals. I've also had to be really honest with myself about what I can accomplish based off of like energy levels, mental health, other commitments that are just as, if not more important to me than being a YouTuber. And I've made like a loose plan for the first few months of 2025. Also, again, I'm not really looking for advice. Don't worry about me taking care of myself. Part of planning ahead and making sure that I am able to do stuff is self-care for me. Kind of making my intentions public is a way of me like trying to hold myself accountable, because now it's like, well, I said it, so I got to stick to it, because it's really easy for me to not stick to things. It's very easy for me to do nothing, but I don't feel great about myself when I just don't do anything. Q1, the first quarter of this year, I'm going to be doing one video a week. The plan is to release on Wednesdays. It's going to be a mix of topics, but like the plan is for about half of them to be book related in some way. And then in March, I'm going to revisit the plan and see how things are working for me, how I'm feeling about it, and see if I'm able to post more or if I even need to post more. I'm not making a video like this again, like every quarter or something like that. The changes will be like more gradual and less like big announcement from this point forward. I'm not going to share my goals for 2025 because I have a history of talking a really big game and then not really delivering on things. So I'm not going to do that. But like the intention for the year, my New Year's resolution, if you will, is to be more aware of where I'm at and be a little bit wiser about how I spend my time, my money, and my energy. I really do enjoy making content. I love to hear that people laughed along with the video, or that my videos help people feel a little bit less alone, or it helps them get their chores done or whatever. I really enjoy that aspect of being a YouTuber, and I want to be the best content creator that I can be. And right now that means like making more content that I'm excited about, keeping things fresh for myself and for my regular viewers. If you're not interested in a specific topic, like that's fine. Just don't watch it. That's already how things usually go on this channel and on YouTube in general. You know, there's content creators that I respect and admire to varying degrees, like Jarvis Johnson and Jordan Adika, the Sad Boys, D'Angelo Wallace, Kenny JD, and like Curtis Connor. So I'm not like gonna rip them off. I'm just like kind of looking at what they do and seeing how I can apply that to what I do, or to my own personal style, and I'm just trying to figure some stuff out. I'm really curious and excited to see if and how the channel and the community around the channel grows and changes over 2025. Yeah, maybe none of this was necessary, and maybe nobody watched this. Maybe this is the first YouTube video I put out that gets 0 views. I don't know. But if you watched it, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you to my Plus Ultra Don't Fretters, my top tier supporters on Patreon, Laughing Cat Dog, JJ Valdez, and Peggy Lou Who. And also thank you to my super duper Don't Fretters, Lauren, Desi, Cassie, Oliver, and Shade. You're all helping to ensure I'm able to keep creating content and put it out as frequently as possible. If you also want to help support the channel, gain access to exclusive content, join the private Discord server, and join the book club, make sure you consider subscribing to my Patreon at patreon.com/don'tfret_. And if not, no worries. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Thank you for all the support in 2024, and thank you for your continued support in 2025. Thank you for watching this video. My name is D. Don't fret. I'll see you next time. Peace out.